Ethan stared at the control panel of his small cargo ship, blinking at the blinking lights and strange symbols. He had been delivering supplies across the outer systems of the Galactic Federation for 3 years now. It was a simple life, quiet and predictable. He liked it that way, but today something felt wrong. According to the map, I should be docking at the Giller supply hub, he muttered. The star system outside his viewport shimmered in blues and purples. But this doesn't look like any hub I've seen. Ethan pushed the joystick forward, trying to correct his course, but the ship suddenly jolted. A hidden gravity pull dragged him in. Before he knew it, he was approaching a massive structure orbiting a small golden planet. Its surface glittered like liquid metal. Towering spires reached into the sky, curving in impossible angles, and strange. Lights floated around the palace-like structure as if it were alive. "This can't be right," Ethan said, rubbing his eyes. He wasn't sure if he was dreaming or hallucinating from too many long shifts, but the sensors confirmed it. This was a real, solid structure, and it was calling him in. A calm but firm AI voice echoed in the cabin. "Unauthorized vessel approaching Xylar Royal Palace. Please identify yourself." Ethan froze. Xylar? He had read about them in the Galactic Federation database. They were a matriarchal species, known for their strict rituals and powerful queen, Lysera. They didn't welcome outsiders lightly, and here he was, accidentally heading straight for their palace. "I'm, Ethan, a cargo pilot," he said, unsure if the AI would understand. "I'm just delivering supplies. Wrong system. Mistake." Before he could react, his ship was pulled into a docking bay by magnetic clamps. The doors opened to reveal a large hall with walls that shimmered like water. At the center stood an alien woman, taller than any human, with silver blue skin and glowing purple eyes. Her regal attire shimmered with countless colors, and her long hair floated slightly as if underwater. "You have arrived," the queen said in a melodic voice that seemed to echo in his mind. "I am Lysera, sovereign of the Xylar." Ethan gulped. Your Majesty, I think there's been a mistake." The queen's attendants immediately surrounded him, bowing low. "He has triggered the binding ceremony," one of them said, in perfect galactic basic. "The mate must remain with the queen until the council declares otherwise." Ethan's jaw dropped. "Mate? No! I didn't—" But it was too late. A strange device floated toward him, emitting soft pulses that touched his chest. His mind tingled. A warm, calming sensation spread through him, and suddenly, every word the queen said made perfect sense. The attendants chanted, and a golden light wrapped around them both. "Welcome, mate of the queen," the chief attendant announced. "By tradition, the bond is recognized." Ethan stumbled backward. "Wait, this is a mistake. I didn't consent to this." Lysera tilted her head, her glowing eyes curious. "Strange. Humans are direct. Most species would bend to tradition without question." Ethan could only shake his head. "I'm just a delivery pilot. I fix machines, not marriages." But the Xylar had already accepted him. In their culture, refusal was disrespectful, and could even be seen as an insult. Ethan realized that trying to explain his human way of thinking would only make things worse. Okay," he said finally, trying to sound calm. I'll stay for now, until we figure this out." The queen's lips curved in a small amused smile. "Very well, you shall remain at the palace for the council's review. Perhaps in time you will understand our ways, and we will understand yours." As he followed the attendants, Ethan's mind raced. He had accidentally married an alien queen. His simple life delivering cargo had ended in a single, terrifying mistake. The palace was unlike anything he had ever seen. The halls were wide and curved, with floors that glowed softly beneath his feet. Doors opened automatically as he passed, revealing gardens that seemed to float midair, filled with plants that shimmered with bioluminescent light. Creatures he had never seen before watched silently, their eyes intelligent and curious. "Do you eat humans?" Ethan asked quietly to himself, half joking, half worried. He caught the queen's amusement again. We do not eat mates, she said softly, as if reading his thoughts. That would be unpleasant. We honor them. Ethan nodded quickly. Right, good, glad to hear that. He was led to a chamber to rest. The walls were smooth and silver blue, reflecting his own nervous expression back at him. His communicator beeped. He ignored it, afraid of the questions from the Galactic Federation. How could he explain that he was now the accidental consort of an alien queen? They would think he was joking or insane. Later, he was introduced to the Palace Council, a group of tall, serious-looking Xylar officials. They regarded him with curiosity, suspicion, and some amusement. You are human, one of them stated. And you have been chosen as the mate of the queen. How do you intend to honor this bond? Ethan swallowed hard. I don't know, he admitted. I just want to do the right thing, but I really didn't plan this at all. The council murmured among themselves, clearly entertained by his honesty. Lizera placed a hand on his shoulder. He is different, she said softly. Different from all others. He does not seek power. He does not seek glory. That is fire. Ethan felt a strange mix of fear and pride. Somehow, despite everything, he felt a flicker of hope. Maybe he could survive this, maybe he could even help her. Ethan woke to a soft hum filling the chamber. The walls glowed faintly, changing colors like liquid light. He rubbed his eyes, still half in disbelief. Yesterday had been a whirlwind, accidentally, marrying an alien queen, meeting the Palace Council, and discovering that the Xylar had a very different idea of honor. A gentle knock echoed through the chamber. Enter, Ethan said cautiously. The door slid open, and a figure stepped in Queen Lizera herself. She moved with a grace that seemed to float, yet her presence was commanding. Her glowing purple eyes studied him carefully. Good morning, mate, she said, her voice smooth and melodic. Are you ready to begin your training in Xylar customs? Ethan gulped. Training? I thought we were just waiting for the council? Lysera's smile was amused. To survive here, one must understand our ways. If you fail to learn, you dishonor the bond. And humans seem adaptable. I believe you can manage. Ethan nodded slowly. I'll try. The first lesson was communication. Unlike humans, the Xylar spoke with a combination of words and empathic pulses, emotions and intent transmitted directly through touch or proximity. Ethan struggled. His hands trembled as he tried to send a friendly greeting, but all the pulses came out garbled, unintentionally signaling anxiety. Lysera tilted her head, as if studying a curious creature. You are different. Most species learn quickly. Humans are stubborn, yes? I prefer the word persistent, Ethan said nervously. Next, she introduced him to the palace technology, which was far more advanced than anything he had seen in human space. Floating control panels, self-repairing walls, and machines that seemed to anticipate needs before they were voiced. Ethan's eyes widened. This is amazing, he said, unable to hide his excitement. Do these devices do everything themselves? Lysera nodded. They assist, but only the intelligent mind can make decisions. Even we rely on logic, observation, and creativity, Ethan grinned. Well, that part I can help with. He spent the day tinkering with minor palace problems. A maintenance drone had been stuck in a loop, endlessly polishing the same panel. Ethan carefully reprogrammed it, and it immediately started tending to the other panels. Lysera watched silently, then clapped her hands once sharply. Impressive, she said. You have skills unusual for your species. Perhaps you were not chosen by accident. Ethan laughed nervously. Chosen by accident? I'm still hoping the council will fix this. Mistake. Lysera shook her head. This is no mistake. Everything has purpose. Even chaos serves a lesson. By the evening, Ethan was exhausted but slowly learning Xylar routines. He still struggled with basic etiquette. During dinner, he accidentally placed his utensils incorrectly and spoke over the queen, both considered serious offenses in Xylar culture. Every mistake caused subtle whispers among the attendants who exchanged glances. "You are clumsy," Lysera said gently, but honest. "Most would pretend to know. You admit mistakes. That may be your greatest strength." Ethan flushed. "Thanks, I think." While humans might see errors as embarrassment, the Xylar viewed honesty as courage. Ethan realized that even his awkwardness could become an asset. Over. The next few days, Ethan met more palace residents, scientists, warriors, and diplomats. They were cautious around him, curious about the human who had become Queen's maid overnight. Many doubted him, whispering about how a human could possibly hold such a position. Ethan observed quietly, learning more about Xylar society. It was strict but fair. Decisions were made collectively, yet the Queen's insight was always central. He was beginning to understand why Lysera's people respected her so deeply. Then came his first real challenge. A council member approached, bringing a report of a failing energy shield protecting one of the outer palace sectors. It was designed to withstand meteor storms and small skirmishes, but it had begun to flicker unpredictably. "Maid of the Queen," the official said coldly. "Can you suggest a solution?" Ethan stared at the holographic interface. To him, it looked like a giant puzzle of energy flows and stabilizers. He hesitated. Humans were not. Ethan woke to a soft chime echoing through his chamber. His communicator was flashing. Normally, he ignored messages from Earth, but this one carried a warning. The Galactic Federation had noticed unusual activity in the Xylar system, and someone had reported a human marrying their queen. He sighed, rubbing his face. Of course, why wouldn't this get noticed? Lysera entered the room, her expression calm but curious. "It seems your world is paying attention," she said. "Do you wish to respond?" Ethan shook his head. "No, not yet. I'm not sure how to explain this." The Queen's eyes glowed softly. "Humans are unpredictable. Perhaps that is why you intrigue me." Ethan had no time to respond. Within hours, Xylar news networks and interstellar channels had picked up the story. Images of Ethan standing awkwardly beside Lysera circulated widely. Humans on Earth were stunned, some laughing at the absurdity, others questioning the Federation's oversight. Alien species across multiple star systems speculated, what kind of human would marry a queen? Is this a political trick? Back on the Xylar Palace, Ethan was summoned to the council chamber. He felt his stomach twist. The council members, who had been skeptical before, now seemed even more serious. "Maid of the Queen," said the chief counselor, his tone sharp. "The Federation has sent observers. Humans claim this union is irregular. Some fear it may disrupt interstellar diplomacy. How do you intend to justify it?" Ethan froze. I didn't intend this. It was an accident. I'm just trying to survive." The council murmured. Some were frustrated, others intrigued. Lysera stood beside him, her presence calm and commanding. "Accidents happen," she said, "but the human has proven himself capable. He brings perspective. He brings solutions." Ethan blinked. "Perspective? I fix machines, not politics." "Perspective can be more valuable than politics," Lysera said softly. "We must consider what he offers that no one else can." The council debated for hours. Some members argued that a human consort was dangerous, unpredictable, even embarrassing. Others pointed out that humans were becoming more influential across the Federation and that Ethan's connection could serve as a bridge. Meanwhile, Ethan began exploring Xylar society further. He walked through floating gardens, marveling at plants that glowed in soft colors, and met palace engineers who explained the energy network powering the entire capital. To him, it all seemed like science fiction, but he understood it, almost, instinctively. He soon realized that his human skills and logical thinking gave him advantages the Xylar often overlooked. He suggested improvements to transport systems, optimized energy flows, and even redesigned a small ship's engine. Each time, The council and palace officials watched him with a mix of admiration and disbelief. Yet not everyone welcomed his presence. A radical faction within the Xylar Council saw Ethan as a threat to tradition. They whispered about how a human could never truly understand their culture. "He is a mistake," one counselor said quietly. "A human cannot be Queen's mate." Ethan overheard these conversations and felt a chill. He had not come to power, and yet he was already caught in a web of politics. He realized he needed to prove his value, not just to the council, but to the people who now watched him through communication channels across the galaxy. Then came a direct message from Earth. His family and colleagues had discovered his presence. They pleaded with him to return. Humans everywhere debated the story. Was this a diplomatic miracle or a dangerous risk? Some politicians suggested intervening. Others advised leaving Ethan alone to prevent a galactic scandal. Ethan read the message and shook his head. "I can't go back, not yet. I'm in too deep now. If I leave, it could cause chaos, here and in the Federation." Lysera entered silently, watching him. "You have adapted well," she said. "Your world may worry, but you are learning. And in doing so, you earn respect. Even humans can influence the galaxy in ways you do not yet see." The next day, Ethan faced another challenge. A ceremonial banquet was held for visiting Federation officials. He had to navigate alien etiquette, impress the delegates, and remain composed, all while ensuring he didn't offend anyone. He stumbled at first, mixing up gestures and empathic signals, accidentally transmitting anxiety to a visiting delegate. The room fell silent. Ethan's face burned red. Lysera stepped forward, her calm aura stabilizing the atmosphere. "He is human," she explained with quiet authority. "Humans are honest. They are not perfect, but they are brave and intelligent. That counts more than ceremony." Ethan realized that Lysera was not only protecting him but teaching him to adapt quickly, to combine his natural human problem-solving with Xylar ways. By the end of the banquet, the delegates were impressed, praising Ethan's insight into energy management and strategic thinking. That night, Ethan reflected on how far he had come. Just a week ago, he was a simple cargo pilot, lost in a new system. Now he was a human consort to a powerful alien queen, watched by the entire galaxy, with expectations he never imagined. He realized something important. Humans were underestimated. His simple skills, logic, creativity, honesty, could make a difference on a scale he had never considered. He could influence not just one alien species, but the relations between civilizations. Yet danger lingered. He knew that the radical Xylar faction and Federation skeptics were still plotting. Any mistake could spark conflict. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him, but he also felt a new kind of pride. He was no longer just a delivery pilot. He was part of something larger, something that required courage, intelligence, and heart. And as he looked at the stars from his chamber, Ethan whispered quietly, almost to himself, "I didn't plan this, but maybe this is where I'm meant to be." The galaxy was watching. Humans had stepped into the spotlight, and Ethan, awkward, honest, and determined, was learning that even one human could make a difference in an alien world. Ethan woke to an alarm unlike any he had ever heard. Red lights flashed across the chamber walls, casting sharp shadows. The palace AI's calm voice repeated urgently, "Security breach. Intruders detected in outer sectors. Prepare for defense." Ethan's heart raced. "Intruders? Here? Now?" he whispered. Lysera entered immediately, her expression firm but controlled. "It seems the radical faction I warned you about has taken action. They believe you are a threat to our traditions. They seek to destabilize the palace." Ethan swallowed hard. "What can I do? I'm just human. I fix things. I don't fight battles." Lysera's eyes glowed faintly. "You underestimate human ingenuity. Follow me and think quickly." She led him to the palace's defense hub. Holographic screens displayed multiple approaching vessels, small, fast ships armed with plasma weapons. The palace's energy shields flickered irregularly under attack. Xylar soldiers were mobilizing, but they had never faced such unconventional tactics. Ethan stared at the holograms, analyzing the patterns. Okay, they're attacking in 3 groups. If we draw the first group into the outer field, the second will overextend and the third can be trapped near the docking bays. His fingers moved over the interface, rerouting energy shields and recalculating the palace's defense systems. Lysera watched silently. Your strategy is different. Human thinking, yet effective. Ethan adjusted shield frequencies and activated emergency protocols. The palace shook as the first wave of attackers hit, but the shields held. The second wave approached, but Ethan had predicted their path perfectly. Energy nets trapped the ships, disabling them without destroying them. The third group attempted to sneak around, but automated turrets, now synchronized to his calculations, intercepted them. By the time the last attackers retreated, the palace was safe. Xylar soldiers looked at Ethan with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Lysera approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. You have proven more than courage, she said. You have shown skill, quick thinking, and leadership. Even we underestimated. Humans. Ethan exhaled, feeling the tension drain from his body. I just used what I know. I never thought I'd be in a real battle like this. Lysera smiled. And that is why it worked. You think differently. That difference saved lives. The council convened immediately after the attack. For the first time, Ethan felt he was no longer just a human caught in an alien culture. He had a voice. He spoke clearly, describing how the palace's defenses could be improved further to prevent similar attacks, offering suggestions for energy rerouting, shield reinforcement, and rapid response measures. Some council members were skeptical, but Lysera's support was unwavering. Listen to him, she said. The human's approach is not tradition, but it works. That is what matters. Ethan realized that humans, often underestimated, could solve problems that even advanced alien civilizations struggled with. He had never sought glory or attention, but his skills were now respected, no, valued, on a planetary level. Later, as the palace settled into calm, Ethan walked the halls with Lysera. The soft glow of floating gardens lit their path. She turned to him, her voice gentle. You were frightened, yet you adapted. That is rare. Most species crumble under pressure. Humans, you thrive in chaos. Ethan laughed softly. I don't know if I'd call it thriving. More like panic with results. Lysera's eyes glimmered. Perhaps, but results are what matter. As they walked, Ethan began to understand Xylar customs more deeply. Their society valued courage, honesty, and cleverness, qualities humans possessed in themselves. Ethan awoke to another alert. A starship had entered Xylar space, officially a delegation from the Galactic Federation. The Queen's advisors whispered anxiously. Humans were rarely trusted in such matters, and now one was a central figure in the palace. Lysera approached Ethan, her expression calm but sharp. The Federation comes seeking guidance and verification, she explained. They want to ensure the palace remains stable despite your presence. You will participate in these talks. Ethan swallowed hard. Talks, me? I'm not a diplomat. I'm just a cargo pilot who fixes machines. Lysera smiled faintly. You are more than that. You see problems differently. That perspective is valuable. Trust yourself. The human delegation arrived shortly after. Ethan noticed their curious glances, some wary, others skeptical. They whispered about the unprecedented situation. A human married to an alien queen, influencing decisions at a galactic level. The conference began. Federation officials asked probing questions about palace security, political stability, and the Queen's decision-making. Ethan listened carefully. He realized that honesty, logic, and clarity were his greatest tools. When a skeptical official asked, "How can a human truly understand Xylar society?" Ethan replied calmly, "I don't fully understand it. But I observe, I learn, and I adapt. And my work ensures stability, not disruption. The room fell silent. His words were simple, but their meaning carried weight. Lysera's hand lightly touched his, sending a pulse of trust and calm. He returned it, steadying himself. The discussions grew more tense as another official accused Ethan of giving the Queen unfamiliar advice that could destabilize trade agreements. Ethan took a deep breath. He leaned over the table and outlined a practical solution: reroute trade flows using Xylar technology to reduce risks and increase efficiency. He presented clear diagrams and logical steps. Federation delegates leaned closer, impressed. His human problem-solving, grounded in practical reasoning rather than tradition, offered solutions no Xylar or human diplomat had suggested before. Lysera watched silently, her eyes reflecting pride. "See," she whispered. "Your mind is unique. You contribute in ways others cannot." After hours of negotiation, the officials nodded in agreement. Ethan's strategies were accepted, solidifying the palace's reputation as stable and capable, even with a human consort influencing decisions. Some delegates left quietly, impressed. Others remained skeptical but cautious. Later, Ethan walked through the palace corridors with Lysera. He felt a strange mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. "I can't believe this," he said. "I'm literally negotiating interstellar politics, and people actually listen." Lysera smiled. "You are not just negotiating, you are building bridges. Humans have strengths others underestimate. You show courage, clarity, and adaptability. These are rare qualities." Ethan laughed softly. "I still feel like I'm faking it sometimes." "You are learning," Lysera said, "and learning is how humans survive and thrive. That is why you are extraordinary." That evening, a new challenge appeared. A distress signal reached the palace from a neighboring system. It warned of an external threat, a rogue faction planning to exploit tensions between the Federation and the Xylar. The attackers were armed with advanced weapons and intended to seize strategic positions. Ethan's heart pounded. "So now, we have a real threat from outside?" Lysera nodded. "Yes, and we must act quickly. Your perspective can help us prepare defenses and diplomacy simultaneously." Working together, Ethan and Lysera devised a plan. The Xylar would strengthen their defensive positions, but Ethan suggested a diplomatic approach as well. Open communication with neutral Federation members to prevent escalation. He outlined both strategic defenses and negotiation strategies, blending human adaptability with Xylar technology. The Palace Council watched in amazement. Even the radical faction, still skeptical, had to acknowledge that the humans' ideas were effective. When the attackers arrived, they expected a disorganized defense. Instead, they found a coordinated effort. Energy shields reinforced, ships maneuvered precisely, and communication lines flooded with deceptive signals. The rogue faction hesitated, unable to find weakness. Ethan's human insight had anticipated their moves. By predicting their behavior and adjusting defenses quickly, he helped prevent a potentially catastrophic battle. The attackers withdrew, confused and defeated. Afterward, the council erupted in applause. Lysera turned to Ethan, her expression softening. "You have done more than survive. You have strengthened the palace, secured alliances, and preserved peace." Ethan felt a rush of pride. He had never imagined his life would include saving worlds and navigating politics on a galactic scale. He looked at Lysera, realizing that their partnership was no longer accidental. It was genuine, built on trust, courage, and mutual respect. That night, he stood again in the glowing palace gardens looking out at the stars. His mind replayed the past weeks. The accidental marriage, the strange rituals, the council's skepticism, the Federation's doubts, and the external threat now neutralized. Lysera joined him, standing silently at his side. The alien plants glowed softly, casting a peaceful light. Ethan realized that humans, sometimes underestimated, sometimes awkward, could truly make a difference in the galaxy. Their ingenuity, adaptability, and courage could shape the future in ways even the most advanced species might overlook. "You have changed things," Lysera said softly. "Not just here, but across the galaxy. Humans will be remembered for what you did." Ethan smiled, a mix of exhaustion and satisfaction in his eyes. "I didn't plan any of this, but I'm glad I stayed." Lysera placed her hand over his again. "Then you are no longer just an accidental mate. You are a partner. Together, we can face what comes next." Ethan looked at the stars, feeling both the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility. Humans had stepped into the galactic spotlight, and he, awkward, clever, and determined, was ready to prove that even one human could make a lasting mark on the stars. The galaxy was watching, and for the first time, Ethan felt he was exactly where he was meant to be. Ethan woke to a strange calm. The palace was quiet, but he knew the peace was temporary. Word had reached the Xylar of a galactic threat approaching their sector, a rogue fleet of warships from a hostile system seeking to exploit unrest and weaken both the Federation and Xylar leadership. Lysera entered his chamber, her glowing eyes steady but alert. "The fleet approaches. This is unlike anything we've faced. Your insight will be needed." Ethan swallowed hard. "So, we're talking full-scale battle?" Lysera nodded. "Yes, but brute force alone will not protect the palace. Strategy, innovation, and diplomacy are key. Humans see things differently. That is why you are here." Ethan followed her to the defense hub. Holographic displays showed hundreds of enemy vessels converging on the Xylar system. The palace shields were strong, but the fleet's firepower was massive. Ethan studied the patterns. They'll split into 3 groups. The largest attacks directly. A smaller group will try a flank, and the last will attempt to disable communication satellites. If we can trick them into attacking empty sectors, we can protect the palace and negotiate at the same time. Lysera's gaze softened. "You are brave. But will the others listen?" "They'll have to," Ethan said. "We can't survive otherwise." Together they coordinated a plan. The palace dispatched decoy ships along false trajectories. Shield frequencies were altered to create phantom openings. Energy pulses were rerouted to confuse targeting systems. Meanwhile, Lysera opened communication channels with neutral Federation members, sending encrypted messages warning of the rogue fleet's true intentions. When the fleet arrived, confusion spread among the attackers. They misjudged the palace. Defenses, their ships hitting phantom shields or retreating when expecting overwhelming resistance. Ethan adjusted energy flows in real time, predicting their moves before they could act. On the battlefield, Xylar pilots followed Ethan's guidance. His human logic and unconventional thinking turned the tide. The enemy fleet was not destroyed. He preferred solutions that minimized casualties, but it was neutralized and forced to retreat, confused and defeated. The council and palace officials erupted in celebration. Ethan stood next to Lysera, feeling the weight of everything he had achieved. He had not only survived, he had helped protect a civilization and preserved peace across multiple star systems. Lysera placed her hand on his shoulder. "You have done more than any other mate in Xylar history. You have proven courage, intelligence, and wisdom beyond your years." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. You guided me, and I just used what humans do best. Think, adapt, survive." Lysera's eyes glimmered with pride. "Humans are underestimated, yes, but you have shown what one can achieve when trusted. You are extraordinary." After the battle, Ethan addressed the council. He suggested new alliances with neutral systems, proposed trade agreements that benefited both humans and Xylar, and outlined strategies to prevent similar threats in the future. His advice was clear, practical, and respected. Even skeptics were convinced humans could be reliable partners. Word of Ethan's success spread quickly across the galaxy. Humans were no longer seen as simple traders or weak species. They were respected for ingenuity, courage, and diplomacy. Ethan's accidental that followed. Ethan walked with Lysera through the F.